Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what Leslie's about.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to two lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast where we must be strong, we must be brave.
We must be brave.
There it is. There it is. Nailed it.
What's the part at the end where I feel like I was watching it today and it was just like, she has this like crazy riff at the end. It's like, I forget it, but they go back.
Yeah, the we're gonna find every bit of strength that we have and never let it go.
Yeah. Whoa! Yeah. You're just like, oh, good, cool.
We must be strong.
This is happening. I love that theme
It's
song.
such a
It's a great
bop.
theme song. Great
It's
theme
a
song.
fucking bop. From the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. We have our next trivia night coming up for the Wilds. I know Lee is going to have some upsetting feelings about
Just
this.
some sad
because,
feelings, that's all.
her favorite ship, won't be able to kiss, but we'll still be able to have fun and play trivia. So that's going to be
It's just going to be me photoshopping Leah and Fatten's faces together.
I mean, that's fine.
In preparation.
But we're going to have that virtual trivia on December 15th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Keep an eye out for the link for tickets.
We also want to remind you that we are recording in season 6 now, Patreon-only bonus episodes. So if you want to catch those, you can join our Patreon. You can find that at bit.ly/lespatreon. And our next episode is going to be coming out next week. So if you want to hear all of our thoughts on Mulholland Drive, and we had a lot of them, you have the next week. You can sign up anytime at any level. You get access to those bonus episodes. It's our 4th one that's come out in season 6. So we are having a lot of fun in those bonus episodes. You should check them out.
Also, we want to let you all know that a lot of you have filled out the survey, so we're super happy to get started planning on our Les Hangout retreat. We will keep you updated. If you haven't gotten a chance to fill out that survey, you can still fill it out while we're planning. But we have hit the amount of responses that we need to start planning this trip. So we are so excited. We will keep you updated. You can fill out that survey at bit.ly/lestrip if you want to still get in on the fun.
In the Greater Les universe, a couple of things going on lately. One of them is the new movie with Cate Blanchett, Tar, came out. I haven't seen it yet.
I
Ellie,
haven't
have you seen
either.
it?
I've heard mixed reviews, so we'll see. Maybe it's something I to watch tonight. I feel like this always happens. We talk about something into This Week in the Lesdom, and I'm like, right after this, I'm going to watch it. So
I know,
we'll see.
and then we finally do, and then no one gets to hear our thoughts about it. So we will both be
well,
doing
maybe
that.
it's a bonus episode. We'll see. We could put it as a Patreon bonus.
We'll see what happens. But I have seen that it's out. I've seen that people are really intrigued by it in various ways. I agree. I've also seen kind of some hit or miss reviews of it. But listen, it's Cate Blanchett.
Cate
you know we're gonna watch
Blanchett,
it.
I'm in. I literally don't care if it's horrible. I will watch it for her. Don't care. Also, there are 2 new lesbian governors. The first lesbian governors in the entirety of the United States. And we got double.
The gay agenda's working.
And we got double. And one of them, Lee, is right in my backyard.
I know. I'm
Massachusetts
so jealous.
governor, Maura Healey. That was British and not Boston, but
I should have never left.
You should have never left. And also Tina Kotek, who is going to be the governor of Oregon. Super excited.
We're slowly winning. Go us. The takeover continues. Also, I'm gonna read this, although I know nothing about it, but we hear there might be a lesbian relationship in Wakanda Forever. I haven't seen it yet.
I read a little bit about this. I haven't seen it yet. Of course, I'm going to see it next week.
I know, I was gonna say, you see a lot more of the MCU stuff
Yes,
than I do.
I mean, I'm definitely going to see it. I've heard really good things about the movie itself, but the lesbian relationship is like subtext, as they do in these Marvel movies, like where they're like, pat ourselves on the back, and one of them kisses the other on the forehead. So we'll probably do a should have been gay on that.
Listen.
We'll see.
Didn't we already, have we done?
We have not done a should have been gay on Black
Should have been
Panther.
gay on the, what are they, the Dora Milaje?
We have not done one on Black Panther.
Is that right, though? I feel like I'm messing up the name. Someone can correct me if I'm messing up the name. I think the last MCU movie I saw might have been Black Panther, so...
And I'm pretty sure we didn't get a chance to do a should have been gay. So if there's any guests out there who are big Black Panther fans, let us know.
Yeah,
we can
hit us
get a good guess for that. But that's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. We are so excited to bring you episode 8 of season 6 and our next installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian movies or shows.
And as a reminder, we are also writing and producing and recording original songs for all of our Lez-ssentials shows or movies. So you're going to want to stick around to the very end of this episode for our original song for She-Ra. It's called Stay With Me.
It is I want to say bop, but like it's like emo bop.
Yeah, emo
you know?
bop.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
it'll make
like
you feel
emo
things.
Rip your heart out of your chest bop is an accurate.
Yeah.
That feels right.
You will really have feelings.
If you like Catradora, you're gonna want to
love it.
stick around. That's all. That's all we'll say.
And if you didn't get it from the theme song at the top, for this Lez-ssentials, we're talking about the 2018 animated series She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, starring Amy Carrero, Karen Fukuhara, and AJ Michalka, and created by N.D. Stevenson. Super excited.
So excited. Listen, this has been oft requested, let's say.
Yes.
There's been a lot of requests. We're both big fans.
Love it.
So I'm glad we're finally here to talk about it.
We've had some really fun She-Ra trivia nights with all of you. Like,
oh my
you
God,
know we love She-Ra. We just have been waiting for the right time to do our She-Ra Lez-ssentials, and it feels right.
Also, anyone who's been to our She-Ra trivia knows that, like,
Lee goes hard.
They are some of the most that what?
You go hard. You went so hard on those questions.
I wouldn't say I went hard. I think the She-Ra fandom goes hard because y'all are intense.
Yep.
Like intense, but they've also been some of the most fun.
It was so
trivia
fun.
nights.
Yeah.
They're super fun. So we should do another one, anyways.
Yes, honestly, we should time it close to this Lez-ssentials.
Great. We'll have to check our trivia calendar because we are trying to
A
spin
League
back
of
up
Their
some
Own, I
trivia
think,
nights.
is probably happening
So
soon. Around
I
this
know
time.
a League of Their Own is coming up, but yeah. Anyways, She-Ra trivia is great, so we're super excited to be talking about She-Ra. Finally, we have so many thoughts, so many things to say,
so many things. I mean,
So,
how do we even
yeah.
start? Let's start with the IMDb synopsis, and then
Okay.
maybe Lee, if you want to do a super quick synopsis of the whole show, and I will not interrupt you because I just feel like there's a lot of stuff to dive into. So I'll let you do the
Listen.
synopsis.
Nobody is more world-renowned for their very quick, brief synopses than I am. So that sounds like a great call. What could go wrong, they asked.
Nothing.
So the IMDb synopsis for She-Ra is as follows. She-Ra, Princess of Power, leads a rebellion to free her land of Etheria from the monstrous invaders, the Horde.
Okay, cool. So
Really needs at least a comma at the end there, just to nitpick. Not the best.
it's
the best
quite
we've
short
ever
for a
had.
show that has 5 seasons. So
Yeah.
clearly we need to hear more about what happens in the show. And there's also so many. One of the things I love about the show, which we'll get into, is like how many characters there are and how many characters you enjoy. For me, it's like we're going to talk a lot about Catradora, so Catra and Adora and their relationship. But I love this ensemble cast of princesses and Bo and Seahawk.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
This
So-
whole show makes me so happy. Okay, so a brief recap of 5 seasons of She-Ra. That's what we're going for?
Yep. Let's go for
Are we
it.
do you want me to focus on like the show as a whole? Do you want me to focus on like the She-Ra Catra?
All right,
part?
let's just do the She-Ra Catra from start to end. That's
Oh,
what
Jesus. Okay, so chime in 3 hours. Skip the next 3 hours if you don't care about this. Okay, let's see if I can do this. The other thing that's really funny is actually even before we decided that we were going to do this next, Kelsey and I literally have been rewatching the show right now.
Perfect timing.
Because it's fun, but we're only in like season 2 right now, I think. So I have to try to like remember all of the details of what happens when exactly. So to the best of my memory, people I'm sure will write in and tell us when I mess up. Okay, so we meet Catra and Adora. They grew up in the Horde together. They're best friends. They have like kind of an antagonistic sort of like friendship, right? Well, yeah, because like Adora's kind of the golden child,
and
which is
Catra's
funny,
always
then,
second best.
Yeah, she literally like then becomes like an actual golden like superhuman Amazon woman, but she's like the golden child. Catra's always kind of like overlooked. And so she gets promoted first, and Catra's kind of like being pissy about it because she's Catra, and like there's some issues going on. But so, anyways, they sneak out. They like go into the woods, and Adora gets thrown off their little boat skiff thing and finds this like crazy sword. And then Catra finds her, and she's like, "What do you mean there's no sword?" So they go back, and then Adora's like, "I gotta find out about that sword." So she like takes off, goes back to the Whispering Woods, goes to find this sword, discovers the sword, and that she is like an 8-foot tall warrior woman named She-Ra, who is the protector of Etheria.
Perfect.
Gets gets captured by Bow and Glimmer, who are like two of the rebellion fighters from Bright Moon. And basically, like, Adora realizes the Horde is evil and is like, "I have to join the rebellion and fight the Horde." And she's like, "Come fight with me, Catra." And Catra's like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna take 5 seasons to work through my shit. Ha ha ha."
That sounds accurate, yeah.
Boo, hiss, scratch. That's what Catra says.
Boo, hiss, scratch. Hey, Adora.
Yes, that's Catra in a nutshell, I think is actually that. We should just make a shirt that just says, "Boo, hiss, scratch."
Yes.
Hey, Adora. So Catra's not going to leave the Horde. And then, I mean, I don't know. That's like the shortest recap I can give of the two of them. Is like, then they spend 5 seasons trying to like pretend they don't want to fuck, right? Like,
I mean, true. I mean, you have, right, She-Ra's trying to save Etheria. Catra's trying to prove herself to be like, I'm the best evil person. But you also
Catra's like, "Just love me, daddy, evil Horde daddy.
Yeah.
Someone just give me a hug, please." And Scorpia's like, "I'll give you a fucking hug." And Catra's like, "Boo, hiss, scratch. Hey, Adora."
Yep.
So-
That sounds right. And yeah, Catra has to work through Catra works through those issues, through a lot of stuff. And like, she kills people, like, she opens portals, she destroys worlds. Like, she does a lot of rough shit.
She does a
lot of damage.
She's got some damage, and she does some damage.
Yes.
Listen, we could just write nothing but Catra taglines all
She's
day.
got some damage,
Actually,
she does some damage. Yes,
right?
That's right.
I want to use that in a song somewhere. I should write that down so I don't forget.
Yes.
That's So yeah, I don't know. It's like She-Ra is rebuilding the Princess Alliance, and she's like, forming the rebellion, and they're getting together and making friendships, and Catra's like, "Somebody love me," and "Why does nobody ever care about me?" And Shadow Weaver's like, "You're disappointing," and then, just everything. Poor Catra, man.
Catra has mommy and daddy issues because Shadow Weaver's her mommy issues. And to be fair, like, I think I saw this maybe on Twitter or something that like really got to me, where it was like Catra's ultimate betrayal was that like Catra's always known the Horde was evil. And so she's like, "Okay, what's your point?" Like, yeah, but you're still leaving me. Like, I mean, the whole, from episode 1, when Adora leaves, is like literally Catra works through her abandonment issues with Adora for 5 seasons.
Yes.
Like, she's like, "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me." And then She-Ra/Adora keeps leaving her. And then she's like, "All right, well, if you're going to keep leaving me, I'm going to attack you and your friends."
Well, and there's the abandonment issues, and there's also the clear, like, I have been cast aside my entire life. I think it's in season 1, right? When like Bo and Glimmer get captured and Adora, like She-Ra and all the princesses go to save them. And the end result is like Catra like gives her sword back at the end. And she's like, get out of here. It's not because I like you or anything, right? Like,
yes.
Wink,
Classic.
wink. Classic. But then when they're fighting about it later, when they're like down in like the Light Hope dungeon, first one's
well,
tech,
yeah,
whatever.
Catra's like, actually, I didn't want you to come back because
she's like, I didn't want you to come back. And like, that's her big thing. And so it's like, yeah, we get, and I love how they do this throughout the series where it's like, we start to get a lot of flashbacks. We're constantly getting these like glimpses of them growing up together, their childhood together, their relationship and friendship and the bond that they had and the trust that they had built up in each other. And yeah, I mean, it's like Catra just gets disappointed and abandoned and betrayed by everybody around her, like at every turn. And so yeah, it like turns her into kind of a monster, into kind of, as Scorpio would say, a bad friend, you know. And so they kind of go through all these things. So it's like at every turn, like Catra's there just basically trying to be like, let's just end the world, baby girl. Like, let's just cut and run. Who cares? Open a portal, rend the fabric of reality. No big. Like, what is there to live for, right? Like, who cares? Maybe if I do this, someone will finally notice me.
Yep. Huge. Catra's screaming for attention for 5 seasons.
Oh my god. Catra for 5 seasons is just like, pay attention to me. Here I am, destroying reality. Do you see me yet, Adora? Hey, Adora. So, yeah, so they do that, and then Catra sort of does, like, destroy reality in the sense that they pull Etheria back from Despondos, like, into, like, back into, like, the real, where the stars. They're in the stars now.
Yes. So, I'm like, if anyone's listening to this episode, I hope you've seen She-Ra because it's really difficult to explain.
Well, yeah, it's so there's like the that's why I was asking, do you want the like Catra Adora story or the like lore of She-Ra story? Because I'll be honest, I'm probably gonna mess up more of the lore of She-Ra story, but they live on Etheria, which is a planet. The last She-Ra, who was like 1,000 years ago, Mara Deary. Mara lived 1,000 years ago. You're welcome. Thank you. Coached by Valerie Rose Lobo.
Yeah.
So everything I know. Okay, so Mara was She-Ra 1,000 years ago, and she decided to like take Etheria and pulled it into this like pocket dimension of just like a void. So it's just like, that's why there's this whole thing with stars. They're like, we've never seen the stars because there are no stars in their little pocket universe because it's just Etheria. It's like just their planet and nothing else. And that she like did that to like protect it.
Them, yeah. But
also it like broke everything and broke the She-Ra line. And then there was like a portal and Adora came through the portal and Shadow Weaver was like, child. So where all the other children came from, ambiguous and unanswered, but that's fine. That's fine. And so, yeah, so then they pull Etheria, they like pull it back through a portal into like the regular world where they learn, oh my god, Hordak isn't even like the real Horde. He's just like one of many clones of Horde Prime, who's like the real big bad guy. And Catra gets captured by Horde Prime, and Glimmer gets captured by Horde Prime, and Adora and Bo and Entrapta are like, let's build a literal fucking spaceship and, like, go to space to save them. And then Catra's like, I'll save Glimmer for you, Adora. Don't come back for me. And, like, teleports Glimmer onto her ship and whatever, and then gets, like, mind melded with Horde Prime. And then Adora's like, I'm in love with you, and I'm gonna go save you anyways. And then they do. And then they save her, and then they, like, slowly start rebuilding this relationship, and then at some point Catra gets a cat, and then like all good lesbians, they like get a tattoo and like kiss and fall in love, right?
That sounds pretty accurate to me, yeah.
Okay. I think I did great. Somewhere in there I got back onto the Catra Adora instead of the lore of the world, and I don't know when, and I'm just rolling with it.
But I feel like they also come together because like the finale really is like Catra and Adora's love saves the world, which is like such a freaking lesbian. Like when we're talking about Lez-ssentials, this entire show is about She-Ra saving the world, right? But like She-Ra cannot save the world without her lesbian lover. Like she literally does not save she can't turn into She-Ra without kissing Catra. Like that's what happens at the end. She cannot transform until
True.
she has kissed Catra.
It's so perfect.
So it's like true
It's just
love's
so perfect.
kiss between this like best friends to enemies to lovers.
School for good and evil, eat your heart out.
Yeah,
What?
right? Yes. We will get
What?
there.
Who said that?
Should have been
Who
gay, coming soon.
Who ran in here right
Yes, coming
now
soon.
and said that?
But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I love about the show as a whole, right? This is one of the first animated series, the first animated series to have this much LGBTQ rep. Correct?
Oh, it's so much. It's so much. Name a straight person in this show.
They
Non-existent.
don't exist, and it's not even in a should have been gay kind of way.
No.
Like
Canonically, like everybody's
all of
gay.
these characters are gay. Like we have Adora and Catra, who are the central love story of this entire show, lesbian love story. We have Spinnerella and Natasha, who are like married queer women.
I love them. Our gay mommies.
Yeah, we have Bo, who has 2 dads. Like everything about She-Ra, everything about Etheria as a place is very sexually fluid in a way that like is just there, is not, I mean, I'm sure some straight people might be like, I won't let my kids watch She-Ra because they're throwing gayness in my face. But to me, they're not throwing it in your face. Like, it's very much like, okay, yeah, Bo has 2 dads. Okay, yeah, of course, Adora and Catra, that's the love story. They don't talk about sexuality. They just, like, let it exist. In a kid's show, in a way that it's, like, people, like, I don't think it's, like, overly sexualized, overly,
No,
like,
not
it's
at
just
all.
like, oh, yeah, these 2 girls are in love. And we're going to watch them for 5 seasons, figure it out.
And what I think is great is like it happens as exactly like you said, like it's not sexualized. It's just done in a way that I think is actually really relatable for the age group that is like the target demographic of this show. Because
What do you
it's
think
just-
the target demographic age of the show is?
oh, that's a good question. I would say maybe somewhere from like the 9 to tweens age,
like
it-
young
well, okay.
adult-ish.
Here's the thing is like I think in terms of like there's twofold, right? Because I mean it's like asking that about like shows like Bluey where you're like it's written for two targets, right? Like there's the pure face value of the show that I think skews younger. And then I think there's the like who is a lot of the messaging like really going to be best picked up on, which I actually think is great for adults. Like it's why we're rewatching this. It's such a fun show.
Yeah.
Like we loved it. And I wouldn't say that it's like, oh, it's like watching a kid's show, you know, where I'm like, no, I think there's different things that you're gonna get from it depending on the different ages that you are. But I think that like the animated part of it where it's like, you know, like we keep saying like, especially as we're rewatching it right now, and I'm like, man, I'm so excited for like when the girls are old enough that we can watch She-Ra together. Cause like
Yeah.
I feel like once they get to a point where like they'll be less scared. Cause like right now there's a lot of it that would like the horde would be too scary for them, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like if they were like 6-7 years old, like you could watch this show easy.
Yeah,
right?
it says on Netflix it's 7+ is like
Yeah.
what it's.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So I think that there's like that demographic, and I think that it's a very different show at that age than it is when you watch it at like our ages.
And I think also like the reason we're doing this as a Lez-ssentials as adults is because there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of adults who really enjoy the show. And I agree.
As
'cause
they should.
because like I remember the first time I watched it, because you know how it goes with all these gay shows. It's like everyone on our socials or like
Yeah.
are like, you have to do an episode on this. You have to watch it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down and start watching the show. And I binged it in like 4 days. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, I
Oh, it's so
love
good.
this show.
It's so good.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying is like I also think it's such well done story building and such good writing when you can make a show that's going to be consumed so differently by people at different ages, like interacting with your content. Like that's just
like
such a
same
great
as like SpongeBob, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
like it's sort of a joke, but not.
But not, right? Like, but not. I mean, that's the thing. And it's the same way that it's like, I know so many parents who are like obsessed with Bluey. And it's like their kids like Bluey for one reason. And then the parents like Bluey for totally different reasons. And the kids are like, haha, what a fun episode. And the parents are like sobbing uncontrollably at the end of some of these shows.
I
because
have
they're
never
like,
heard of Bluey.
oh, really? It's like a kids show, and it's the same thing. It's animated dogs. I think it's Australian, technically. I don't remember where it gets made.
Oh, you know why I know Bluey is only because of what's it called? Of Abbott Elementary. Have you watched that show? There's like an episode where one of the kids is obsessed with Bluey, but I've not
Obsessed with
seen
Bluey.
it.
Well, so the thing about Bluey is that it's a kids show, but it's also really a parenting show. And so there's a lot of things in there that are like, they'll play fine for the kids, but they have really like deep, heartfelt messages for parents that are actually like incredibly touching in ways that like are gonna go straight over kids' heads. But it's also still fun for kids, and then for parents, you're just like, ugh, it's like heart-wrenching. And I'm like, it's such clever use of mediums to do stuff like that. And I think animated series are so much more possible to do that with sometimes than like live action stuff, you know? It's so important. And I think the long-winded point I was trying to make originally starting this is that I think kids at the age that like you could start watching She-Ra at will understand feelings.
Yeah.
Right? Like they will understand, like even when you just watch Scorpia, right? Like you watch Scorpia basically have like a low-key crush on Catra for like so many seasons of this show.
And all she wants is for her to like her, and you just
all
see,
she wants is for her to like her and want to be around her as much as she wants to be around Catra. And that's relatable. Even when you're 8, even if you don't have language for it, even if like you don't need Scorpia to like call herself a lesbian or call herself whatever. Like, you just watch Scorpia desperately, like, heart eyes follow Catra around, being like, we're best friends. Like, do you want a hug? I'll give you a hug. Do you want to cuddle? Let's go cuddle. Let's make hot chocolate and, like, watch a movie together and just hang out and spend all of our time together all the time. And, like, we as adults can watch Scorpia do that and be like, oh, honey, like, you've got it bad. But kids can understand that, like, maybe they have that with one of their friends. Because, like, 8-year-olds get crushes, man. Like,
yeah, well, and also
they're not
just, like,
sexual.
well, and also just, like, even if it is platonic, that's understandable of, like, I just think this person is so cool.
Yes.
And I want to be friends with them. And I, like, am so overly eager to be friends with them. And maybe they don't exactly want to be friends with me back. Like, that's also relatable, even if it's platonic. But yeah, I mean, there's so much, like, I think too, like, even like the messages of some of this stuff, like, right, like a big thing centers around friendship, right? But it's like all the different kinds of friendship, right? Even like when you think of like Entrapta and Hordak, where you have like this villain character who then finds someone who is kind to him and is like, oh, this is what it feels like to have a friend. Like, and you can see like that kind of thing. But you also have like much more intense feelings of like betrayal and like all kinds of like traumatic feelings from a lot of these characters too, which is just like any point of your life you can relate to a character in She-Ra.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it's exactly what you were just saying about Hordak too, is it's like there's so many things about it that like I get it. I know there's going to be the people who are like, "Buh, trying to indoctrinate my kids with your gay agendas." Like, yeah, okay, fine. But there's, besides the fact that like representation is important and letting your kids see, you know, like, yeah, it's sometimes maybe you're just going to have really strong feelings about one of your friends, and that friend could, like, it could be Glimmer with Bo, it could be Scorpia with Catra, it could be Catra with Adora. Like, there's all sorts of like complicated relationships and whatever. Sure, that's important. It's also, I think, really important characters like Hordak. What I love about Hordak's journey in this series is that there's so much, like, Hordak, I think, is one of many characters where there is, like, a really prominent theme in this show about, like, worth. Like, what is
Mhm.
your self-worth? What is the value of people, and who determines that value, right? Because, like, Hordak's not different than Catra in that respect. Like, Catra spending her whole life being like, Shadow Weaver, notice me. Hordak, tell me I did good. And Hordak's doing the exact same thing with Horde Prime, right? He's like, tell me I did good, Daddy Prime. Like, tell me I brought my little team down here and took over this planet adequately, and love me because of it. And it's like, there's just so many characters in here. Like, Scorpia's doing the same thing. Like, notice me and love me, Catra, right? Like, so much of this show is so wrapped up in, like, kids getting to see this message that it's like, other people do not determine your value as a person, right? Like, that's the message that everybody in this show is learning over and over and over again. It's like, I know, I'm trying to remember what episode it's in, but I know there's like some scene
With Mara and Adora?
Oh, I was thinking I know there's one where Adora early on where they're like, you know, She-Ra, like, maybe it's when they do the Battle of Bright Moon or something, where they're like, She-Ra can't fight like the whole Horde army, and she's like, then what good is she?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where it's like, if I can't hold myself to this like extreme impossible standard, then like, what's even the point of me? And you're just like, you know, it just kind of really reinforces like so many things where you're like, yeah, like, that's what your 8-year-olds need to see. Like, that's a great message for young kids and also adults, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I feel like it is very cathartic for some adults to watch this shit too, because we, speaking for myself, grew up in a very, like, and still live in a very, if I am productive, I am good.
Yeah.
If I am like
capitalism, baby.
If I am helpful to others, I am good. If I am constantly working, I'm a good person, right? Like, I'm a successful member of this society. And if I sit down and like lay down in bed and watch a TV show for an hour, like, I am wasting time and like I don't matter, right? Like, that's like maybe a high level of it, but like, I'm lazy. I'm not valuable if I can't contribute, right? But there's that scene. We talk about representation about the LGBTQ community. I personally am obsessed with the representation for the neurodivergent community, for the disabled community. There's so many layers of this too, and I just like think of this as from my perspective of like, I don't know if I've ever told anyone on this show, but I'll just talk about it. Lee knows this. I have fibromyalgia. I'm sure a lot of you out there also have it. And like, for me, when my body shuts down and I cannot work, I have to struggle with a lot of emotions about that, regardless of the fact that like literally I just need to get in bed and sleep. My body is telling me that. But I feel like there is like this message that She-Ra says that's like, you're worth more than what you give to others, right? That's what Mara says. You are worth more than what you give to others. Like, that idea of like, you can just exist. You could literally be like drinking a cup of coffee on your front porch and like relaxing, and you are valuable. Like, you are valuable as a human in every aspect of what you do and when you're doing it. Like, you don't have to be the worker. Like, it's literally the Horde as like a metaphor for like constant like production. Like, they literally clone. Horde Prime clones himself to like be this
increase efficiency.
Like literally to it's insane actually. But I do feel like it's a good message for young people to see, because hopefully they will grow up feeling a bit less of that like constant need to be productive, because they've seen different messaging in some of their animated shows, She-Ra being one of them.
Well, and also where like such a huge component of that is friendship. What does it mean to be friends? What does it mean to be a good friends? What role are your friends supposed to play in your life? And like, so much of what they like learn and teach about friendship is like, the best friends you will have are the people who create space for you to acknowledge that about yourself, right? Like, exactly that it's like, hey, I'm not your friend because of how many bad guys you fight, and I'm not your friend because of how much you do in this specific situation, and I'm not your friend because of like your dollar value on paper to someone, you know, like I'm your friend because you're great, and like you're great regardless of like what you do, what you don't do, whether you beat this enemy in battle or whether we like don't win the battle. Like that's not, I'm not gonna not be your friend if we lose the battle, right?
Yeah, well, and
like,
I mean, still, like, talk about like Catra and Adora.
yes,
Like the amount of shit that both of them have done back and forth to each other, and like that too is like they still care about each other.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed, just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/lezhangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/lezhangout.
Let's hang out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
I'm James McComb, reporting live from home in my bathrobe and slippers. Tonight, we're talking Dunkin' Polar Peppermint Coffee. Gene's here with the latest. Gene, do you copy?
The home with Dunkin' is where you want to be.
Yeah.
Even through all of the seasons.
I know, and God, like some of the little moments that they still have with each other all the time, like just kill me. They just kill me because it's like they are literally like scratching each other's like faces off and also like actively still sort of like desperately reaching out for each other in ways that you're just like, oh, sweeties, like it's, oh, honey, you know? Like they're so obvious and they so don't see it, and they do. Like they're doing that for so long in this show because it takes so long for each of them to learn that.
Yeah.
You know? Listen, do we want to get into like a deep dive on like the Horde and capitalism and Adora and Catra as byproducts of capitalism?
Yes. but let's talk a little bit more in depth about Catra and Adora, even though we've given a synopsis.
Okay.
Like I want to talk like just about a few of the big moments for Catra and Adora, right?
Okay, I'm ready.
For me, I think we have obviously our first episode, which we've talked about, but I think after that, one of the first big moments for them, I think, is the Princess Prom, which we have to talk about.
Oh God, yes.
So let's just talk about the Princess Prom episode as an episode, because I think if we're talking in Lez-ssentials about She-Ra, Princess Prom is like iconic.
It is.
First of all, outfits. Like Catra in this like suit with a bow tie that's like not tied. That's a look. Scorpia in a like black tight dress, black lipstick, like femme butching it up.
I adore Scorpia's outfit. Yeah. I just adore Scorpia. Let's be real.
Scorpia is perfection. And then, I mean, we just have like Catra and Adora have split ways. Catra's made it very clear that she's coming for the princesses, right? And so when Catra gets to Princess Prom, Adora is like, oh shit, like Catra's up to something. But like, I love the fact that like Catra uses the fact that Adora is obsessed with her to do evil.
Yes.
In that episode.
Yeah, because she knows she's like, I am your weak spot. Like, you're going to be so distracted by me that like you will pay attention
to nothing
else.
And like they have this scene where they dance together, right? Like that is iconic. There's just like this, well, Catra is a cat, and I feel like Catra's more, do you think Catra's more the cat or the mouse in their little game? Or both?
In Princess Prom?
In Princess Prom, she's the mouse.
No, I would say in Princess Prom, she's the cat.
But
I feel like it switches throughout the series.
Yeah. Their cat and mouse game, like literally is just like back and forth, constant. And then like literally but they also like, it reminds me a little bit of Kim Possible and Shigo. Where it's like, there's many times. So in Princess Prom, there's a point where Catra is like about to fall off the side of a cliff and Adora saves her.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like they fight. But when it really comes down to it, like they don't want to actually lose each other.
And they do the same thing. It's one of my favorite, like one of those tiny little moments. Again, because I think I do love animated shows so much because there's so much intention behind everything. And they mirror that scene right away in season 1 in one of the episodes. The episode where they are sort of down in like Light Hope's little
where they're going through the flashbacks.
Dungeon-y thing. When they're going through the flashbacks, and they do the same thing. Adora starts to fall backwards off a cliff. Catra reaches out and grabs her hand and like pulls her back in. And she's like, she says again, she's like, it's not because I like you or anything. But as she turns and walks away, her little tail brushes Adora's hand, and you see Adora like look down and smile at it. And I'm like, so it's not it's animated, right? Like somebody had to draw that interaction happening. Like it's on purpose. But I just love that they give them these little like, you know, even unconscious, like, does Catra know that she did that? Who knows? Like, but she's like such a little cat about it, you know? She's just like, this is the boo, hiss, scratch, hey Adora, and then purring section. Just the
Well, in that entire episode, if we talk about the flashback episode, we see them as kids.
Yeah.
And you can see that, like, from the beginning, they have been best friends. And that's this episode is one of the more painful episodes in the Catra Adora timeline.
I know. It's some of all of the ones where they do the flashbacks, they just like, ugh.
And I love that they do the flashbacks because otherwise, I mean, we still see the connection between Catra and Adora, but like showing those flashbacks really makes you empathize with Catra more.
Yeah.
To the point where you're not like, okay, Catra's evil. Like, I don't want her with Adora. You're
no,
like,
it humanizes her. Yeah. Which, you know, funny thing to say, given that she's
a cat.
Cat. But
human.
Cat human. It cat humanizes her. But it does. It gives you like this insight into her baggage, her pain, her trauma, like all of that trauma that Catra's like lugging around endlessly in this show.
Well, and you have that scene between the two of them where it's like they're little and Catra's crying and Adora comes up to Catra and is like, it's okay, like no matter what happens, like we're gonna always, you've got me and I've got you, like we're gonna take care of each other and like basically I will never leave you. And then she leaves.
And Catra's like,
you promise?
And
yeah.
Adora's like, I promise. And their little tiny faces and they got little pudgy hands and they're like just holding each other.
I know.
I can't.
So adorable.
I can't.
And also so heartbreaking because then Catra's like looking at that memory and she's like, oh, they're having moments there where they're like underground and they're like holding hands accidentally or like having these moments where it's like, oh, maybe things can be okay between us. But then Catra's like, no, because I love you and you left me. And she literally lets Adora drop into the pits of hell. And she's like, I'm getting rid of you because you're my weakness.
It's rough. It's a lot. And it's like, I mean, the thing is I know there's a lot of people out there who are like not behind the Catradora ship. And I get it. I mean, like, they're toxic AF. Like, it's not great that is valid, right? I mean, like, Catra goes off the deep end in this show. Like, she literally loses her mind. And she is like, burn all bridges. Like, allegiance to nobody. Life is meaningless. Burn it all to the ground. Just, you know, like, I'm picturing like Catra half dark arm scratching the down the wall. I mean, like, she goes absolutely insane, like unhinged, off the deep end.
And the amount of things that she does to directly harm Adora, and Adora at the end just like forgives it all. I feel like when I first watched She-Ra, I think I was messaging you and I was like, I'm like, I don't know if I can really get behind this. I'm like, I understand this is an enemies to lovers trope, but like, there's a lot of shit that Catra did that there's
a lot. Well, and listen, it's funny for me because like, people are gonna come after me so hard, but like secretly at heart, I think I'm still actually a Glimmadora shipper. Don't tell anyone.
Well,
don't tell anyone. She said on her own podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like, all series was like, there was something going on with Glimmer and Adora. That's all I'm saying. It's fine. But I get it. I mean, the thing is like, I feel like it's easier to try to make that character forgivable. Like the type of character that Catra is. I feel like in an animated show, you're able to forgive a little bit more because so much of the violence is also sanitized a little bit.
Well,
you know,
because it's also like magical violence, kind of, right?
Right,
like,
and it's like people don't die; they just sort of like, oh, I like knocked out all these soldiers, and then like their friends drag them away, and then they all run away. You know, like there's a lot less of like. I feel like if you'd had a real show or like a show geared only towards adults, where it's like I've watched 5 seasons of Catra just straight up murdering like
Everyone.
hundreds and hundreds of good people. And like I feel like us as adults, like we are filling that in for the show, even though it's not showing that happening. So it's like we are projecting all of these like atrocities onto her in a lot of ways, because realistically you're like, oh, they fight, oh, they've like, had a cat fight a couple times, and then you're like, unforgivable. But
yeah, but also
I mean,
like she did drop her into the abyss, and like she expected that she would be dead.
Yeah, I know,
Like,
but no one died. No one dies.
But she
really in
didn't
this
die,
show,
right? But I'm saying,
except
like,
for Angela, R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
In Catra's mind, she's like, I just killed Adora.
I know,
and that's okay with me.
But we know that, right?
Yes.
Like,
but so
we
like,
know that because
so I feel like for
we
me, there's like a tricky. There's a tricky balance between the two of them, but I do feel like they do a good job with Catra's redemption arc. I just feel like, and maybe it's just because the show is 5 seasons long, right? Because her redemption arc really only starts in season 5. Don't you feel like? Does it start early?
Her redemption arc, I feel like season 5 is her redemption season.
Yeah.
Right?
So you see her for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Like just being like the villain. And
but it's
a
also,
relatable villain. I do feel like
yes.
they make her relatable. You understand why she's doing what she's doing. And then you also like get that like, okay, Catra's not the villain. It's Hordak and Shadow Weaver. Oh, actually, Hordak and Shadow Weaver are not the villains. It's Horde Prime.
Yeah,
like, there's a bigger evil.
There's
and
this constant escalation.
Of like, oh, don't worry, like they're not. But I also feel like this is getting way too complicated, but I think it's important to talk about, is I believe that people should be given second chances. And I do believe that people are not like defined by their actions 100%. But I do also feel like trauma doesn't excuse actions. It can explain actions. But if you're not like truly apologizing for those actions, then the trauma, like, I don't know, I just see a lot of like in my personal life, I see like my friends dating people who have like a lot of trauma, who treat them in a way that's like not great.
Yeah.
Because of that trauma. And then you're
this is the problem with oversimplifying the type of show that this is, right? Because obviously the thing is like we as adults know that when you have somebody who has as much trauma as Catra has, that you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, but like, a few episodes of like doing the right thing, like that's not enough. Like you need therapy, babe. You need some help. You need time. You need to like find yourself and work through your shit first. And like probably you're rushing into this. Like, we know that as adults. But at its heart, it is a kid's show. And so it's like, you have to let go of the fact that we're like, but I know better. And like, don't date her right now, Adora. She's not ready for you. Like, she's still coming out of all of this baggage. And like, yes.
But on the other side of that, I also appreciate that like where it is, like, just because someone has all this trauma does not mean that they still are worthy of love. And so Adora still loves Catra through all that trauma. But it's just like difficult to be like through the trauma, but also through the hurt and the harm that she has done to Adora and her friends. So it's like you're just like
the real answer. The real answer is like, let's just all get some therapy.
Agreed.
We're all gonna be fine.
Catra really
Us and Catra are all gonna be okay.
Catra will work through it in the song at the end.
Oh, Catra.
Let's talk
sweetheart.
about. I know. I do love Catra. Like that's the thing. I love the character. It's just like very complicated. But let's talk about Catra's redemption arc.
Okay.
So we have Catra. It's like a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then in season 5, we get the redemption arc, right? Which is really that Catra is like, I'm going to save Glimmer, right? And also in the end, after everything, Catra stays with Adora to save the world. Like Adora is going to sacrifice herself for the world, and Catra's like, you don't have to do it all by yourself. And then it's like, and I do think that when you get to the end of it, if we hadn't had so much of this shit in the middle, is like a beautiful love story ending.
That final scene, the two of them, like that scene with the like Adora slowly succumbing and Catra's whole like the speech and the everything and like the Like, okay, listen, just the voice acting in this show is fucking bonkers good, right? Like, so fucking good. And that whole scene and her whole, like, please, just this once, stay. Like, I mean,
Rough.
eat your fucking heart out. I mean, it's just, it's a lot. And it's so good. It's so good. And then they kiss, and it's like, especially again, like us as adults who have been watching this show where they're like clearly in love with each other this whole time, but it's a kids show, and you know, like I went watching the show because I was watching it when they were coming out, and like I honestly believed that we were gonna go the whole time and just be like, and then they hug and it's fine.
Yeah,
and like they give them that kiss,
but,
and then they turn like ice, just fucking glowing rainbow, and you're like.
Yep.
What? Amazing. I mean, like, it's for us as like gay adults, like what a fucking payoff, you know?
Oh yeah.
Unreal. I mean, just unreal to have that be the like world-saving climactic like peak of this show is like, yeah, your two gay like leads finally kiss and turn into a shining beacon of rainbow light and heal the world, and you're like, okay. I mean, sure.
And too, like I said, it is like Adora / She-Ra has it her whole thing that she has to work through. I'm not saying she doesn't have any shit she has to work through, is that she's always like, I'm the savior of the world. Like, I'll do it by myself. I put the entire weight of the world on my shoulders, and like,
yeah,
I don't really like, she does, in a way, in her selflessness, she is very selfish.
Yes.
Right? And so that's like that juxtaposition. But then to have Catra come in as this like partner to her who's like, you don't have to do it alone. That's a really powerful ending for that character. For Catra's character, first of all, who's like has abandonment issues. And then she's like, instead of cutting and running, I'm choosing to stay. And then for Adora, who's like, I always do it by myself, and she lets Catra help her.
Yeah.
Is like a pretty powerful like relationship moment.
Well, and let's talk about like the growth. I'm sorry, we're going so fucking hard on this show. We're not going to stop.
No.
But let's talk about like the growth of Catra. Catra who has like 180'd her way from like burn the fucking world down, rip it apart from like the seams of reality because who even fucking cares, to Catra literally watching the world actively ending and being like, not only is the world worth saving, but it's not worth saving without you here with me in it. I require both the world and you. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So like cut this bullshit out right off the bat. Like get back here and let's keep the world alive together so that we can live in it. It's like yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Like, and it is, I mean, I get it. It is hard to like capture that amount of growth enough with what you get to, like, with the time that they had to do it in. But like, I think they gave it their best shot, and like, I'm not gonna hold it against them that like that's how much time they had to tell what I think is like a really well developed, well done story arc of like all of the just like so many things going on with like, you know, like the world building and the lore and the first ones and the languages and the this and like the constellations and the sky and the I mean, like they had a lot to do. I'm gonna give them the pass on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you gonna say? Like, how often do we get this well done of like a full story, you know?
I won't hold the grudge too much, because I do think like they have a beautiful story arc towards the end. And too, like, even there's like other moments in season 5 before this. Like there's that one moment when like Catra jumps on Adora's lap. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's just like little moments where you're like, these two characters from the beginning they just have such good chemistry together. Like, yes, they're animated characters, but like you see like this ease between the two of them. There's like so much more to them than even just these 5 seasons too, which is also I think what we need to keep in mind, like why the flashbacks are so important. Like also, like I think as I take a bit more look, like how old they're teenagers, quote unquote, right? They're supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah,
I think
I
in the
feel like
first
I always
season-
lose track of what age they're all supposed to be, because they start out where, yeah, like Glimmer's still getting grounded. Like, I feel like in my head I picture them being like 16 when the series
I think they're
starts,
because
or
there's
something.
also a moment in Princess Prom where Fasta's like teenagers.
Yeah.
About all of them. So I'm gonna say they're like 16 at the beginning, right? So they've known each other since they were babies. So like, okay, 16 years of like ground building, friendship building. Then let's say like 4 years where Catra goes buck wild off the deep end, and Adora's like, but I still love her and I still know who she is not what she does. And then you finally get this redemption arc in season 5. Like, then I can be like, okay, you know what? 17 years of good Catra. You know, she's still a little chaotic, but quote unquote good. And 4 years of her destroying the world. Like, you know, maybe we can weigh those. Maybe we can weigh those out differently. This is my evolution of trying to think.
Just her little rough patch, you know?
Yeah, she just did a little rough patch.
end of the world rough patch. It's fine. We've all been there.
Just a little like portal rough patch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
That's it.
Listen, who didn't in high school just like briefly try to end the world, you know? Like,
Exactly. And like,
Okay.
and she has someone who loves her unconditionally, even when she does that. So that's like, it's sort of beautiful. But yeah, crazy shit. Crazy shit.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I know we could spend the next like 4 hours talking about Catra and Adora.
You're right.
Let's talk about like some of the other things, because we talked about there is like so much representation. And I think one of the things that's great is when you have a show that like yes, the showrunner and creator is queer, right? It's always hard to talk about it like a show when it's all done. But when you have, so like Nate Stevenson, who was the show creator, and I know a lot of the rest of the team as well. Like, I think a lot of the writer's room, I think a lot of the team associated with it. Like, when you get a whole team of queer people together, you tell authentic stories, right? And you tell authentic stories that also just had like so much representation. I know you talked about some of them at earlier on in the episode, but I just think it's worth mentioning like some of the other things that we want to highlight in terms of like the amount of characters who either like canonically date same-sex people or canonically mention having dated like both like same-sex and
honestly pretty much
partners.
Everyone. Like, I don't.
Yes.
There
like
is,
almost everyone.
It's very difficult to find a straight character in She-Ra, which I love.
I want to say like Angela is like,
yeah, probably Angela,
probably like the straightest
and
person in the show, right?
But yeah, even like what cracks me up is like Seahawk, who like is dating Mermista and is like so obsessed with Mermista for so many seasons, and then you find out, oh yeah, so Seahawk also dated Falcon in the past, who's a man, right? Like, and Seahawk's just like, yep,
Seahawk,
of course I'm bi.
Seahawk and Mermista as like two chaotic bisexual, like just nonsense. I love their relationship. I love the two. They're like two of my favorite characters. Mermista has some of my favorite lines in the entire show. Just both like the writing and also the delivery of them. Like, I fucking love Mermista so much, just so much. When you were asking me for like what are the highlight episodes to like watch to, you know, like
to get ready,
kind of like jog your memory for like some of the high points, I just want you to know it took everything in my power, because I was trying to give you a short list not to suggest the Mermysteries episode, because
what a great episode.
It's so unnecessary to watch it to like, you know, come back to like talk about the show, but it's like one of my favorite episodes in the whole series, because I love Mermista so much.
Well, that's what I was saying too. It's like the ensemble cast is just perfect. Like,
they're
every
so
character is
good.
like different and interesting.
They're so good.
And then you have like Perfuma, who dated Bo, and then also is now dating Scorpia, and they have such a cute little relationship because they're just both like love and light.
Yeah.
And perfect. And you have two like I already said in the beginning, like married queer couples too, right? So you have like George and Lance, who are Bo's dads, Spinnerella and Natasa, who are just like married princesses.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like Spinnerella and Natasa have really beautiful moments.
They do. They're so cute.
They're so sweet together.
And I
like,
love, like, I love when you first really get to like meet them a little bit more, because they show up a couple times in season 1 and they're just sort of like, yeah, you know, they're sort of like the throwaway joke of like, yay, Spinnerella and Natasha are here. Like, we don't even know what they do still. Like, what do they offer?
Yeah.
And so then they have that scene where they show up and they're like, you don't even know what we do you? And she's like, net Tassa. Like, I toss
nets.
And like Spinnerella's like, and they're beautiful nets, dear. And you're like, yeah, they just have like just pure like old married couple energy.
Yes.
I love it.
They really do. And to like old married energy, and then also just like such deep love where you're like, when anything bad happens to one of them, you're just like, oh my God, no. Like, please save love.
Save love.
Yeah.
Save our moms.
They're so cute and sweet. And then you have Scorpia was raised by two moms. So like we don't ever meet her two moms, right? But like you see a picture of like baby Scorpia with her two moms. And like it just feels like that's just all over, right? It's like it's just a thing and it's there and it's fine. And then you also have like, I don't know if this was confirmed in the episodes, but Nate Stevenson confirmed it in an interview that Lonnie, Rogelio, and Kyle are in a throuple together.
Yes. I mean, obviously. I mean, clearly.
Clearly. So you also have like a little bit of an exploration of polyamory there.
Yeah.
And they're not like exploring it, but
there's
it
also like, I feel like Double Trouble was such a refreshing character to have, because I feel like we spend a lot of time talking all the time about like in, you know, things like the X-Men or like any sort of movie or show or whatever, like shape-shifting characters where we're like inherently queer.
Yes.
Like there's just an inherently queer energy to being able to shape, like even in fucking Encanto, right? Where you're just like gay. Like if you spend your whole life gender fluid, being able to take on the, you know, shape and gender and look and whatever of like anybody, like how would you still remain like
how do you not identify that? That is like the definition of gender fluid.
And so it was just like so refreshing to see Double Trouble and see them have a character that is clearly non-binary, not just in the sense that they like shift their gender based on who they are being, whatever, but where like it is always explicitly that like they are a non-binary character. Like Double Trouble does not have a gender. How could they?
Yes.
How could they?
Well, and also like, in terms of like representation, also portrayed by a non-binary actor.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
But just like same thing, like when you talk about things to like have your kids just sort of like normalized at these ages for them, like just having a character where it's like, yeah, that's Double Trouble. They're a character. They use they, them pronouns. Everybody around them uses them correctly without any second thought or discussion or anything. It's never once brought up explicitly. It's not ever really like discussed. It's just that is what it is. They are a character who is non-binary because they do not have a gender.
Yep.
Amazing. Just and the fact that like that in and of itself just seems so like mind-blowing, kind of sad in a lot of ways, you know?
But that, also like this is the first non-binary character in an animated series is Double Trouble, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
So like also just She-Ra in general had so many firsts, like so many just like, and I feel like because of that, I mean, we talked to Zach from Dead End Paranormal Park, and it's like She-Ra came out in 2018, Dead End Paranormal Park just came out this year, 2022. And like in those 4 years, the difference that you could have in an animated series is like exciting because it's not going to be like, they're not going to be firsts anymore, you know? So like, it's just like, okay, this is a new show. We want to watch it because it's a cool show and we like what it's about. And like the gender identity or sexual orientation of your characters is like secondary to the plot. But still, like, you have a diversity of that in your animated series. I love it.
It's so important. It's just so important. I just honestly, it's really hitting me as we're rewatching it right now that I'm just like, I want the girls to like be a couple years older so that we can like start watching She-Ra. I'm just like, I'm so excited.
I know.
Like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm so excited to like get to watch this with my kids because it's just like, I just keep thinking back to like some of the cartoons that like I watched growing up, you know?
Like
what?
Like, what were the cartoons you watched when you were growing up?
Like I remember watching like DuckTales and watching like Rescue Rangers and watching what was the problem is I keep having to remember like what are all the English names of these shows. But Gummy Gummy Bears? Is that what it was called in English? Did you ever watch Gummy Bears? And they used to drink their little potion and they could bounce everywhere. Anyways.
Care Bears?
No, not Care Bears. Gummy Bears.
I don't know Gummy Bears. But yeah, I think you're right. Gummy Bears is a cartoon. I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, well, when I grew up, we called it Legumi because it was in French. So, anyways, but they used to have a little potion. They bounce everywhere. I don't know. It's just like all of these shows where I'm like, they're just. It's not that there was anything wrong with them, but the representation was non-existent. You know?
No. I was talking to someone about the shows that we used to watch as kids, and I'm like, there was something about my generation in particular that had the weirdest. I don't know what it was, but like. People were like, hey, let's make cartoons as like drug fueled as possible. Like that's what it felt like. Like I think
like
about,
Animaniacs.
Yeah, like
era,
Animaniacs,
yeah.
Cat Dog.
Yeah.
Like Ren and Stimpy.
And also, yeah.
Like,
Ren and
they were,
Stimpy.
like,
I feel like
most,
the
crazy.
beginning of like the SpongeBob era
Yes.
of shows. Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't even know what those shows were about. Like if I watched them again right now, I would feel like I was tripping.
They're like, yeah, it's like an acid trip kind of experience to watch a lot of them.
Yes.
See, and I feel like those were the shows that I watched when I was like a little older. Maybe I'm going too far back. I feel like I'm naming a lot of the shows that I used to watch when I was
you were
like
a
little,
toddler.
like 5 or 6 kind of ages.
Some of them are good. Like I like some of the Disney Channel ones. Like Kim Possible was more my generation.
Kim Possible was
Totally
great.
Spies.
Yeah.
Like Avatar: Last Airbender. Those ones were good. But then there were like these just subset. If you're a 90s kid, let me know because you know what I'm talking about. Like
no, they were weird shows. They were weird shows.
Insane.
And it's funny because it's like when I see Animaniacs stuff, like I get nostalgic about Animaniacs. But if you ask me really like what happened in that show, like do any of us actually remember?
Powerpuff Girls. That's a good one,
like,
but I think still
what
crazy.
happened in the Animaniacs?
No. I could not tell you like the plot of any of these shows. Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was a freaky one. Sorry. There's one more that I need to remember because it was so weird.
No, I know what you're talking about. Real Monsters.
Real Monsters.
Yeah, I got you.
Damn, there were some freaky
That was
shows
a weird show. I used to watch that too, and that was weird.
Yeah, there were some freaky shows out here.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe I'm gonna take a trip down memory lane and watch these crazy shows and just.
I bet we could do some should have been gays on some of them.
Pinky and the Brains of Should Have Been Gay for sure.
Yeah.
They're
Honestly, Animaniacs. I feel like they all have queer energy.
Yeah. But we digress. Let's get back to the show at hand. Our point is, the representation has dramatically changed in terms of who is represented in our animated series, and She-Ra was like the most gay. Like this is a very gay animated show, just like so gay.
Yeah.
And one more thing that I want to talk about before we can wrap up after this, but I mentioned it briefly before, but like Entrapta as a character, I feel like makes so many neurodivergent people feel seen because Entrapta is clearly neurodivergent and like they really I think she's friggin' awesome. Like she's so smart, like honestly like can do so much, so lovable. Like you see her like as just like I find her to be one of the most endearing characters in She-Ra.
She also, like, some of those scenes where, like, the way that they use Entrapta's sort of, like, different perspective on what's happening as the people around her on things, like the scenes where they first capture her and she just keeps coming out of her handcuffs to like show them stuff and then being like, oh right, and like going back in the handcuffs because she's like, you seem to care about this for reasons that are a mystery to me, but I guess you want me to be in these handcuffs, so here I am. And then she'll be like, oh, a first one's tech, let me come show you. And then they're like, how did you, oh right, and like locks herself back, and like they're so good. It's such good little moments, like such good little bit things that like they just keep doing, you know?
Yes.
Like I love it.
I'm obsessed with it. But yeah, I mean, She-Ra as an animated series, I'm assuming most of the people who are listening to this have already watched it. Do a rewatch because it's worth it. And like if you haven't watched it, it's highly, highly, highly recommend that you watch it. Like, great storytelling, great character development, super gay, which is why we always will recommend for Lez-ssentials. And let us know what you think about about Catradora. Let us know what you think about all the ships in here. I hope we did not offend anyone with our analysis. But those are my thoughts on She-Ra.
If we did, we wrote you a crazy Catradora song.
You're going to love the
make up for
Catradora
it.
song, so don't worry. All right. Is it timely?
It is. I need one more question, though, so hold on.
All right. It is time for our Q and Gay. Let's do it.
Q and gay.
Question number 1. Which powers would you want? A. Sparkles/teleportation. B. Control the sea. C. Snow or ice. D. Control nature.
Oh, man, I don't know. It's like a part of me wants to go control the sea, but also the teleportation would come in so handy. So I might have to vote glimmers, sparkles, and teleporting.
No She-Ra option on this?
Listen, I had to narrow things down.
That's okay. I think I would...
Yeah, the She-Ra make my sword into a mug option is really what I'm going for. I just really want a mug when I need one. Okay.
Yeah, we all need them.
Okay, question 2, Ellie. Which princess would you most want to date out of A. Adora, B. Glimmer, C. Mermista, or D. Perfuma?
Very good question. I honestly have to go with Mermista. I like
she wins you over.
Yeah, like I like the sarcasm. Like I feel like there'd be some fun banter. I'm here for Mermista. Yeah.
She's just so funny.
Yeah. All right, question number 3. Which villain would you most want to date? A. Catra, B. Shadow Weaver, C. Scorpia, or D. Hordak?
I'm of the opinion that there's only one right answer to this question, and it is Scorpia.
Also, like, is she really
Scorpia.
a villain?
I mean, listen, I wasn't gonna put like Horde Prime on here, so I went with Scorpia.
Yeah, Scorpia's a great choice.
I could have put like Huntara or something, I guess, in which case I probably would also choose Huntara, but I love Scorpia. I would like just protect Scorpia at all costs. I love her so much. She's just a big teddy bear, and I love her.
She is.
Okay, question 4, Ellie. What was the weirdest animated show from your childhood? Out of A. Animaniacs, B. Smurfs, C. Ah, Real Monsters, or D. Ren and Stimpy?
I feel like it has to be Ah, Real Monsters. Like, that show was freaky.
It was weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was about. I just have those memories seared
You
in my
just
brain.
remember what they all looked like, and you're like, what were we watching?
Yeah, I'm like, what was I watching?
So true.
All right, final question. Question number 5. What's your favorite She-Ra episode? A. Princess Prom, B. Mer Mysteries, C. Whiteout, or D. Heart Part 2?
Oh, man. Listen, it's so hard. Whiteout is fun because I do love the Adora, like, you know, infected by First One's things episodes because she's hilarious. Because I think Whiteout is the beep boop 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 one. And that is great, but like, and Heart Part 2 obviously has the great like Rainbow Kiss. I'm here for it. But like Mer Mysteries, man.
That's it.
Mer Mysteries. It's such a good episode. It's just got everything.
It's got Mermista. That's all you care about.
And mysteries.
That's
you know?
it. That's
Listen, what
For
more
me,
could
it's
you
Princess
want?
Prom. That I just feel like it's just so like.
It's also a great episode.
It's a great episode. Yeah,
it is. They're all good.
Ugh, love She-Ra. What a beautiful gay animated series. Remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q and Gay questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod. We also have, of course, drinking game rules for She-Ra, which is honestly hilarious to me. So here we go. Here are the drinking game rules.
Okay, now buckle up, everyone, for our drinking game rules, because once again, we do not promise that these are survivable. So please live tweet us, message us if you're going to try these out. And especially when you're doing these with shows, you know, pace yourself, take it easy, be safe out there. Here are our drinking game rules for She-Ra. Number 1, anytime Catra says, "Hey, Adora." Number 2, anytime Adora says, "For the honor of Grayskull," and nothing happens. Number 3, anytime the Princess Alliance glows rainbow. Number 4, anytime Adora gets drunk infected by the First One's viruses. Number 5, anytime Scorpia gives someone a hug. Number 6, anytime Seahawk hits a falsetto. Number 7, anytime Madame Raz gets confused about time. And number 8, anytime bow creates a new arrow. Have fun out there, everyone. And remember, stick around to the very end of this episode to hear our original song based on Catra and Adora's story in She-Ra. It's called Stay With Me, and you're going to want to listen. That's all I'm going to say.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you. We love continuing to build this community, and we just like to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. And this week, we want to shout out someone who reached out on our Instagram who said that they are a new listener. They were up to episode 5 by that point. So, Camila, thank you so much. We're so glad you found the podcast. And in 3 or 4 years, when you get to this episode, you'll get to hear your name.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Also, I think she also was like, congratulations. So thank you for the congratulations, because you're right. Congratulations on a podcast that has lasted for 6 seasons. And
yeah, you got a lot to catch up on.
You got a lot of stuff to come, Camilla.
I'm so excited for when she finally gets here.
I know, me too. Which is going to be also like, people tend to binge. So I'm like,
that's true.
It could either be 5 days or 10 years.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We're excited to find out.
Yes. We would also like to shout out everyone who came to A League of Their Own trivia. We had some incredible costumes. You all are experts, and we can't wait for the next one.
Can't wait. We have so many questions, so it's happening.
Yes.
And as always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Tanya Ferguson,
Sarah and Julia,
Alana Rosen,
Lizette Stye,
A.B. Benitez,
and Fiona W.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Leah Hendley,
Andrea Doucette,
and Julia Gonzalez. Thank you all so much. We could not continue making this podcast without the support of all of you and all of our patrons.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
You can check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they drop every week.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/letshangoutpod to catch them.
Let's Hang Out is an independently produced show. It's hosted by us with audio production by Ellie. Our production assistant is Krista Murison, and various other shenanigans are done by me.
If you want to support the podcast, you can rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps other people find the show and lets them know that it's worth listening to. So do it.
If you want to join our Patreon, you get access to ad-free episodes, our special Patreon-only bonus episodes, which, as a reminder, our next one is coming out next week. You get access to our Discord chat, all sorts of good stuff. You can find that at bit.ly/.
If you want to get some Let's Hang Out merch, it is the perfect time to do so and get some holiday gifts for all the queers in your life at bit.ly/lesshop.
Remember, we also have a queer production company where we are making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings. You can find everywhere at $Bean Prod.
Or at our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can listen to all of the episodes of our first show, The Flame. They're up on any podcasting app.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/$Beanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ellie Brigida. With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
There's a little girl who's in the dark, licking her wounds, building a truth where she's not second fiddle, second in command. Stick to the plan, reach out your hand like there is something there to hold, shelter from the cold, something that you told me once. But now I've fought and clawed my way to your heartbeat, broken on the blacktop. Never thought our roads would lead so far apart, and now I'm never letting go again. I love you now, I loved you then. I've across the endless universe. Promise me I'd follow. Can't you see the truth? You're such an idiot. But now I've fallen on my way to your heart. Across the endless universe. Never miss me. Oh, to leave so alone. Now I'm never letting go again. I love you now. I loved you then. I promised me be the end for me. So please stay with me.
Buffet brawlers, glory holes gone wrong, cannibalistic castration cabins, public poopers? These are just a few of the crazy topics you'll hear covered on Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the pettiest podcast around. Whether you need a break from all that murdery true crime stuff, or just enjoy hearing hilarious stories told in a unique way, I got what you need. I'm Leroy Luna, your fearless host / chauffeur. So come hop in my minivan and let's go for a ride. I promise you probably won't be disappointed. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically everywhere you consume podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of the month, baby!